But that's right, guys. So I'm going to be going into the project file for my track Baby Boo and just kind of showing you some of the different stuff, the just different things that I used whenever I made it, different plugins that I liked, just different melodic stuff that you may not get to hear right off the bat whenever you're listening to the song. But I really wanted to kind of do some more music related videos as well because I have been doing a lot of different gaming stuff, which I hope you've been enjoying all over my YouTube page. But we're going to kind of take a break from that and go over some of the project. So first of all, I think that when it comes to music production, obviously, you know, there's almost no real wrong way to do things, in my opinion. I think that as long as it sounds good in the end, you know, that's what matters. You know, electronic music's a little tricky. Obviously, there's like better mix downs, things to fix, and stuff like that. This is the unmastered project for it, so this is just the, you know, basic up thing of what it is. But you know, I like it. I hope you like it. I'm just gonna show you some of the stuff that I did. First, I just want to show you kind of the organization of the actual project itself. I think that it's really good to kind of get a format that you like personally, that you think works for you as far as getting your flow going on just getting tracks made. I always talk to people whenever they're first producing and they're like, you know, do you have any advice, tips, or whatever. And I'm like, the one thing that I have for almost every beginner producer is get in the habit of finishing tracks. It doesn't even matter if it sucks. It doesn't even matter any of that. Like it's the mindset of getting yourself into the habit of finishing tracks. It'll help you kind of get a little bit better at that. And then you can start getting into your, you know, your workflow and all the other stuff later. But just get in that habit of finishing tracks. Even if you never release them, if you just start to finish. Okay. I have over here now mine. I honestly have a lot of stuff to learn as a producer. You know, we all are on our own journey, and I'm still learning. I have a lot to learn, and we all have a lot to learn to be the next Skrillexes. So that's how it's going to have to be. But no, point of the story is these are just the things that I've learned and that I've done over time to increase my production. You know, I like to listen to my music from the beginning of the year to the end of the year and see how my growth was. And as long as I feel like my tracks are growing, you know, that's kind of the goal. But at the top of mine, you'll see up here, I have intro, beat in, break, build, drop one, drop two, break two, build two, all the way to the end, track transition. I think sometimes at the beginning, I had issues with phrasing, and I couldn't always get my phrasing down, especially as like a DJ. Like I started as a producer and then I started DJing, and once I started DJing, I started really understanding like phrasing a little bit better, which kind of helped me just get in the habit of that. But if you don't necessarily know how to structure your tracks right off the bat, a really good tip is to get a reference track. I mean, it's the most common tip that you'll hear for something like this, is you just throw a reference track with the same beats per minute that your thing is or whatever, and time it up, sync it up, and then just listen to that, and then set little tabs at the top that are like, okay, this is when the beat comes in, okay, this is when the drop starts, and then that'll just get you a basic idea. You know, I always think, especially when you're a beginner producer, listening to reference tracks, there's nothing wrong with it. Have something on there that you can toggle between. Maybe you're not, you know, you don't necessarily know what section you want to do with something. It'll help you kind of just say like, okay, oh, well, they brought some snares in here. Maybe I'll start doing something like that. You know, I think those kind of tips are important. So as far as advice with this 6-inch section goes, my point of the story is organization. Get your structure up at the top that works for you. That's how I do it. Over at the top, I have color-coded sections. All of my percussions and 808s are color-coded red, and they're grouped like that. I have all of my synths and stuff. They're all going to be coded green, high, blank. Yellow is going to be all of my effects, and then I have vocals. I usually use pink or blue, whatever. So firstly, we're just going to talk about some of the lead vocals. So these are all the vocals over here. I'm just going to solo the vocals as a whole, show you like the build for a second.
Me, I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view. That's why I'm asking you, what it do, baby boo?
Okay.
Me, I'm just...
Okay, so that's just that one section. There's a couple different things I have going on. I have the actual lead, which is
Me,
this.
I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view. That's why I'm asking you, what it do, baby boo? Me, I'm just
Cut the lead, recorded the lead vocals. I literally record everything in my room. When it comes to vocals, I just think it's really important that it's going to be different. Also, like I said, that music is so subjective that a lot of it just depends on what sounds good to your ear. But I think it's smart to get at the beginning, like you can kind of see it right here, but the beginning of the phrases.
Me, I'm just passing through.
I'm cutting out all the sections. I'll fade in. I've already done a lot more processing in this that you can't see because it was way early on, but like I'll fade in the tail ends into it or the, you know, the tails out, just to kind of like make the blending a little bit smoother, and that'll just help kind of fix some artifacts that tend to kind of happen with stuff like that. When it comes to vocals, especially speaking vocals, you know, you might not necessarily think that a vocal, if you're just talking, like, oh, I'm just talking. Well, it's, you want to talk, this is going to sound weird, but you want to talk in key. You want to listen to the, especially something like this is this more melodic, like, you have to get in, you have to learn, it is like a process of singing, but it's like, me, I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view. That's why I'm asking you what it do, baby boo. Like, I'm speaking in key, but it just sounds like I'm speaking for the most part. And I do that with the whispers too. Whispers are a really good background effect. I'll usually pan them, like you can see, one is pan hard right, one's pan hard left. And that just gives me this extra fill space. Let me show you the whispers as a whole. So this is that layer. Okay, I want to talk about the whispers real quick, because there's a couple of like processing things in here that are really fun that kind of carry over into a lot of the other things that I'm going to be talking about, but I'm just going to touch on them right here while we're here. Turn this off. There we go.
Me, I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view.
All right, dry, right?
Me, I'm just passing through,
right?
just enjoying the
Both.
view. That's why I'm asking you, what it do, baby boo? Me, I'm just passing through.
Right? Okay, cool. So that helps fill out some space. It helps because it's some stereo width, you know, different stuff like that. All right, so this right here, I have some distortion and some delay.
Me, I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view. That's why.
So with the without distortion,
Me, I'm just passing through.
with distortion,
Me, I'm just passing through.
very faint. Like, there's really not even much going on there at all. I don't even think anything's really happening there at all. But the delay right here,
Me, I'm just passing through,
just a little,
just enjoying the view. That's why I'm asking.
little extra space, right? All right, and then a little EQ, you know, kind of clean it up. I didn't need my, oh, by the way, that's one thing too. I have some messy looking EQs. Like, I'm sure there's a way cleaner ways to do it, but my EQs tend to be pretty messy. Anyways, this EQ right here is kind of cutting out some of the low end stuff I didn't really want.
Just passing through, just enjoying the view.
Kind of a little up there. And then I just slam some OTT on it.
Me, I'm just passing through.
Make it a little bit brighter in the mix.
I'm just passing through, just enjoying the view.
All right. Now this is the point of why I wanted to talk about the whisper. One of my favorite plugins to use, and I use it on so many different things, is Shaperbox. And it's because Shaperbox has all of these different automation, like for one preset. So they has a bunch of different presets between accents and different rhythms, and you can go in there and change them yourself. These are mine's very simple. It's just a 4/4 bar. It's like a very basic sine wave on as far as mine goes, but that's on the width. So what's happening is I've added it to where the width will like get really wide and really narrow, really wide and really narrow, with the Shaperbox as it goes across the bar. And then the volume right over here, if you look at this one, it's a loop length of 1/4, and it's doing this ducking effect. This really like just quick LFO across the board, really, really quick. And this ducking is just volume automation. So now I have volume automation ducking up and down across the beat, and then I also have this width getting bigger and smaller. And so what that sounds like is something like this. Also, mind you, if you're watching this on mobile, you probably won't hear a lot of anything. Mobile tends to put stuff in mono, so anything I talk about stereo with, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. Maybe unless you have like some headphones or something. But yeah, better to listen to this kind of stuff with headphones when I get into talking about specifics like that. But the point of the story is that Shaperbox has tons of, and there's some other ones in there too. Let me show you real quick. We also have a filter, a time to do stutter, reverse, scratch, tape stops, and glitches. Panning, like it, and you can just stack them on top of it, and there's so many, like I said, just built-in presets, and just that is oof. If you want to get into some fun sound design stuff, Shaperbox, you could do a lot of really cool stuff. So that just gives this whisper background thing a little bit more kind of width and stuff like that. Threw a limiter on it just to kind of crank it up a little bit, and then an auto filter, just that's for later on, just so I do some filtering in and out of the section. This also has been flattened, so I don't have the original thing, but I'll show you the plugin in a second anyways. It's very... I don't know how well you can hear that. But that is a vocoder plugin that I use, and I use it for all of my vocals when I want background, when I want to do something different with maybe a break. Maybe I don't want as clean as a vocal and I want to do something a little bit dirtier or something like that. Vocal synth. 2 actually in my case. So this is just with a preset in. All right, so that's one I made. That's just like with a vocoder on it. Let's look at some of the other ones. Just a great way to add texture.
What it do, baby boo?
Great way to add texture to your vocals. That's just I'm like, this obviously isn't a tutorial about those things. This is just me talking about the project as a whole. But if I could dive into plugins and talk about them for a while, Vocal Synth is definitely one of the ones that I would love to talk about because it's probably one of my favorites, especially someone like me that likes to use vocals for a lot of stuff. All right, we're going to talk about some of the percussions. I'm not going to, like I said, dive into too much about a lot of the details and specifics of these, so much as just kind of briefly show you some of what I do with them. So firstly, you will, of course, see there's some loops in here. People are very opinionated with how they think about music, and it took a while for me to even want to show people my projects as a whole, because while I know my sound design and all that stuff, especially areas like this, they're like, oh, well, he has a loop. It's like, yeah, bitch, you're right. I threw some hat loops and shit on there because, let's be real, it's all going to sound the same in the end, which isn't necessarily true. But point of the story is I like to just throw some loops. They make them nice and easy. You'll just manipulate them a little bit, cut them around, and there you go. Good to goes. When it comes to stuff like your kicks and your 808s, there's different ways you can make them kind of have a little bit more presence in the mix. So with my 808, when I originally made that kick, I used, so let me turn it off, but basically stuff like saturation really helps kind of fill in some space like that. So on the 808 in particular, let me turn it off, you're going to get something like this when I don't have it on. Mind you, as far as the Serum Base itself, it's pretty self-explanatory. You got a sine wave, you know, a little bit of noise up there, down an octave. Yeah, like it's pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing going off with your cutoff, something like that. The effects, though, I do have some distortion on there with a high drive. That's basically doing the same thing that the saturator is going to be doing. It's just adding that distortion to kind of fill some of that space up there. But so this is what it sounds like before. As far as like a plucky bass, this is like the plucky bass. Let me go to the break bass. All right, right? So when you add a saturator, mind you, mine's like high drive. I just add this extra distortion to really kind of bring it out in the mix. Without? With? I mean, it's a little ridiculous, but you get the point. The shaker, I wanted to briefly talk about that just because I like to do, I think stuff with your percussions, you know, even with your just like a loop, a little something can help kind of make it a little bit better. I added an EQ to kind of focus on the higher ends of the shaker mix. I added an OTT to just kind of adjust that a little bit to my liking. Then I use an auto filter just for like some filtering throughout the song. But auto pan, I love to use a little bit of auto pan when it comes to stuff like that. So without the auto pan on, it sounds like this. Right? A shaker. And then with auto pan, I just have it to where it kind of just goes back and forth a little bit between the left and the right, just to give it a little bit of stereo width. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, you know, you get the idea. Those are just like little stuff to help with your stereo, you know, your stereo space. This song right here, actually, like I said earlier in this, is that it's the second single off of my upcoming LP, but it follows the track Ain't Got Shit, which is the song that takes before this on the album. So the thing I really wanted to do with this album was I was really trying to I want to finish an album to where everything kind of flows into the next one. So this song starts with elements from the last song. And obviously I resampled some of the kicks and the synth work and different stuff like that from the parts to make the album cohesive as a whole. But this also ends with something to help lead into the next song. So that's just stuff that I've been doing. So to kind of briefly talk about that, that's what this track transition part over here is. So if I unmute everything, you get this like cell phone ringing, bass plucky thingy. That's going to lead into the next track. The next track starts with the phone going off. Okay, great. We get the idea. Beginning of this starts with this kind of stutter. And that's because the last song ended that and had that as a major element throughout the whole thing. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I just briefly wanted to say that because it's relevant in just a second. Okay, so this bass right here is an Ain't Got Shit pluck that I used from the last song, and it's a bass that I found in a sample pack, and I just kind of reworked it a little bit. See right up here, Unison. It was a Thunderbolt preset thing, and then I just kind of did some adjustments to that one as it kind of went along. Filtered out some stuff. Obviously, did a little bit of patch stuff changes here. A little bit of auto filter for, like I said, different parts where I want to filter it in and out. OTT kind of bring out parts that I want to bring out, and then just some compressor to make it just stupid punchy. All right, so I'm gonna hold that for a second. This is what it sounds like. It's just a simple plucky kind of sound, but that's one of the plucks that I use for the first part of the song, and it's gonna continue throughout the album because I like that pluck. If you look right here, it says Ain't Got Pluck. It's literally Ain't Got Pluck, and it's just a group, and you can save your audio racks that you group like that right here with this little save icon, and save your stuff up here on the top. That's going to help with your organizational skills and getting stuff done. If you look at the collections, I have a percussion collection with just some different, a kick from a Sad Boy song that I'm working on, a snare I used a lot, a kick I used a lot, some racks, this like an Ain't Got lead vocal, effects that I use, some saws and stuff that I made, just stuff like that. That'll kind of help you build. I'm still even working on that myself. The point of that, I just kind of wanted to briefly just talk about the point of racks and just doing a little bit of processing, kind of make those stick out, and then finding sounds that you end up liking, like this one for example, which I'm going to end up using throughout the whole rest of it, and it's just a pluck synth, but it's one that I kind of tweaked a little bit, and I'm like, I like it. So that was more of just a tip for people that are just getting started to get in the habit of saving those sounds. You can also right click, you can freeze the track, it'll freeze your arrangement, pause, drink your water, because we stay hydrated in this house. All right, and then flatten. And so now I actually have an audio version of this. If I just wanted to like cut out a section, I could technically have just this one pluck, put it here, cut off some of that tail maybe. Now I could literally just export that and have it as a a little one-shot thing. So it's just a little tip to help you get better at saving and getting the habit of saving some of your own sounds and stuff like that to use for the future. All right, so this is the actual original synth right here. This is what it sounded like. This was when I started working on this track, this was the synth loop that I started the track basically. Right? Okay, so that's the synth loop. Well, hold on. One thing I did, I like to do with anything in general is I like to reverse them. And you'll already start to see. Boom. I literally took the clip and reversed it. So that was the first step. Original, flipped. And then I processed it a little bit. So that's just kind of a way to get you a little bit started, just to mess around with some different audio samples, reverse it, flip it. And with that, I'm going to actually go into the last section of the track I'm going to talk about. That's going to be the effects. Right here, you're going to see this Indian vocal loop from Kashmir, which also has a ton of processing on it. I'm just going to turn all that off real quick. See? Done. Then I added a ton of processing with some parallel compression, some serum effects to give it some space, come out in the mix, get a little reverb delay action to fill up some of that back end, EQ out some of the stuff I didn't need, throw another EQ because why not, filter it for some other stuff. It's just, yeah, great. I did want to talk about the Ain't Got Shit vocal, and I think this is the last thing I really want to talk about for this video as far as the whole project goes. Of course, there's a bunch of different risers and stuff. I like to stack different ones. Obviously, Kashmir gets a lot of love on stuff like that. But impacts, the foam vibration for the end of the song, stuff for the out of the transition, you get that. This is another area. I've seen people with like 100 layers of effects sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm jealous because effects are a lot of fun. Some people say you should put effects last, and I kind of agree with that, but it just kind of depends. All right, but this song in particular starts with, this is the vocal from the Ain't Got Shit, the first song, and then So what's happening there is I'm taking the song from the last song. I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit more. And then on this one right here, I'm actually automating the transpose right there and having it going down to the right key that the song's in now. That's a good little trick, just kind of using the sample from the last song and moving it into the key using a break section right there. Yeah, I mean, that's really, I think, all I wanted to talk about. What else was on that vocal? Anything else I wanted to... Nope. A little Shaperbox getting some love. Well, the Shaperbox, that effect, that's because I had to redo the effect from the first one. So if you look, this is what it sounds like, actually. But I wanted to use the exact effect from the last one, so it actually has that Shaperbox on it, which does that. And it gives it that little percussive, you know, stuff like that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That was just me going in the DAW of my track, Baby Boo, which you can find on Spotify, Apple, all major platforms. You can check out the description of this video for a link. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to follow and hit the subscribe button on there as well. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you next time. KNOTZ out.